Good morning, KU. Welcome back. We weren't with you last week because we had break, and our usual host actually isn't here. She's behind camera because she got her wisdom teeth out. We actually have a picture of her to show you guys, too, of her face. And we have another girl, too, with her picture there, too. So how are you doing today? How was your weekend?
My weekend was pretty good. How's yours?
It was good. So I know that you're involved with KU basketball and you just got hired. So can you tell them a little bit about what you do?
I film the men's basketball practices. There's cameras set up in the practice gym overlooking the court.
Okay, cool.
And I control them from the basketball office. That way I can move multiple cameras at the same time.
Okay, so is it just like you working in there, or
Yeah.
are you with anyone else?
Well, I work with Coach Jeremy Case and Director of Basketball Operations Brennan Bouchard,
Okay.
but they're usually down in the practice gym and I'm up there
Okay.
working the cameras.
Okay, cool. So I also videoed the volleyball game last week, and it was really cool because they're actually doing like, really good. And they played K-State and they won. And so I know like you're really a big fan of basketball, and I am of volleyball, so I know like we do that. But I know there's homecoming coming up. So are you gonna like be involved in that at all, or like are you gonna go to the parade?
I'll probably go to the football game and the parade. But
Okay.
I know you're in a sorority. Are they doing anything with homecoming?
Well, so every sorority and fraternity are supposed to be involved, but last year we all decided to vote not to be involved because I guess we just couldn't do it this year, and I know a lot of people did, but I wish we were, because they actually just put up the lights in all the houses for the light competition, and that's just when you decorate your house, and whoever gets the most points like at the end of the week win, basically. And so there's everything each day that the houses can do differently, and then they also build the floats for the parade. And I know that we have the schedule on for you guys that we can pull up to talk about. And so like I said, the parade is on Friday at 6 p.m. on Mass Street, and the game is on Saturday at Memorial Stadium. And also on Sunday, there's a light glow on Sunday noon, and that's when people just everywhere put lights outside of their house to represent KU for blue and red. So yeah. So we actually have our interview next, and they're going to talk about a panel that's going on tomorrow at KU. So stay tuned after the break.
When you shop local in the heart of the city, you support the people that make our community thrive. The money you spend here stays here, in this place we call our home. Lawrence, Kansas, where there's good old-fashioned hometown pride. Eat local, drink local, shop local.
Where you go to college makes a statement about you. This place will become a part of you, your identity for life. The University of Kansas, a great place to be you.
Tomorrow afternoon from 3 to 5, the William Allen White School of Journalism and Mass Communications will host a Q&A on media, politics, and diversity with professional journalists. We're going to get to know some of those journalists a little bit more this morning. Ron Smith, managing editor for news at USA Today, and Doris Truong, weekend homepage editor at the Washington Post, join us this morning. Thank you for joining us, guys.
Yeah, Thank you.
All right, so we're just going to have a conversation this morning. If you guys could just explain to us your experiences in college, where you guys went to school, and what organizations you were a part of. Doris, we'll start with you.
Okay, great. I did my undergrad at the University of Missouri. I have not had an opportunity to do any further professional education, but I've taken various training courses through like Poynter or the Maynard Institute for Journalism Education. And so I went through the University of Missouri, got my internship through there, and then went straight into my first job at the Dallas Morning News.
And Ron?
I started off at Marquette University. I'm a non-traditional student, so I majored in the Marquette Tribune, and then in 2003 I came back to school and finished my degree at Marquette and went on to get a graduate degree in leadership studies. My first job was actually the LA Times as a reporting intern. And fun side note, the dean of the College of Journalism, Ann Brill, gave me a C in copy editing. So how you like me now, Ann?
All right, well, before we get to those professional experiences after graduation, let's talk about the internships you guys were a part of while students. So what opportunities were you able to take part in, and what did you get out of those experiences?
Well, I applied for the Dow Jones editing internship in 1997, and I was assigned to work at the Richmond Times-Dispatch, which was a really great opportunity to experience a different kind of newsroom than what I had had in college, because I was working with people who were significantly older than me, so it was very different than working with your peers. And it was a much larger platform than college, but not as big as the Dallas Morning News or the Washington Post, where I am now.
As for me, I was a reporting intern. I didn't know what copy editors did at that point in time. I worked at a small paper in Massachusetts called the Southbridge News. I did 2 summers in St. Paul at the St. Paul Pioneer Press and 1 summer in LA. And I think what I learned was learning how to meet new people and survive in a new environment. I never thought when I took the internship in Massachusetts that was the first time I had actually been away from home. And so I got to the airport and I realized, I don't know anybody. And so learning how to survive in a new environment has proven to be very beneficial in my career.
Mm-hmm. Now, for students that haven't had an internship yet, what advice would you give them? And what would you say a newsroom environment is like for some students that aren't so experienced?
Well, my first question is, why haven't you tried to get an internship? Because that's the best way to know if you're going to love journalism or any other field for that matter. Getting into a newsroom, each newsroom is different, but people are very helpful. So learning how to actually come to work professionally. We've had interns who could not get to work on time because they were in a college mode where I'll roll out of bed and I'll get here at noon. Some interns who couldn't take constructive criticism. So all those things you learn in an internship, how to manage yourself, how to manage your boss, how to learn from your peers. So it's very important to get that experience as soon as you can.
Well, I think if you are not able to get an internship for whatever reason, you can definitely take advantage of how easy it is to self-publish now. And there's a fine line because you don't want to just give your work out for free. That undervalues your work and undervalues the work of other people. But it's really easy to start your own blog. It's really easy to post on Medium. I think that's a good opportunity for you to work with other students. So maybe somebody can design your website in exchange for you editing something of theirs or you clipping a videotape for them. You can kind of exchange that service. You can each kind of help each other because you can say on your website, so-and-so helped me with this video or whatever. And be really professional about it because people do go back and look at all your social media, all your public persona. So you want to be thinking about, is this the Twitter handle that I want to have going forward? Is this the best professional email to reach me at? Those are things that you should really be thinking about before you even graduate.
And of course, there's nothing better than what you guys are doing right now. Student media gives you a chance to get professional experience and also the freedom to make mistakes and learn from them. So I think everyone should take advantage of that and support student media.
Right.
And as students, with all the opportunities we have here at KU, how important is it for students getting into this new world with social media and all just types of medium in journalism? How important is it for students to get involved in various mediums like print and broadcasting and radio? How important is it to just have experience in all those types of mediums?
I think Doris and I were talking earlier this morning about when we were in school, it was very specific. Like you were a print major, or you were a broadcast major, or you were an advertising major. And we made fun of all the other majors. But now it's kind of, well, I did, I don't know if Doris did. But it's very important to learn everything, right? Because we're asking people to write stories, to edit stories, to do videos, to do podcasts. We're asking a lot that we were not asked to do when we were coming through. But that's kind of the land we live in now. So the more you know, the better you will be. But you have to master the basic foundations, such as news judgment, good writing, good editing before you can do these other things. Some people get really wrapped up in the technology, but the technology changes. But the thing that doesn't change is that news judgment.
That's very true. And I think one of the other things to really think about is that while you want to have experience in all of the different ways that journalists use media, you want to really learn something that is your unique niche. So you want to be a great copy editor, or you want to be really excellent at video production. These are things that are not necessarily the glamour jobs. They're not the byline. They're not the person who's on screen having the airtime. But those are equally important components that go into having a successful way to communicate news. And that really gives you an idea too, because if everybody wants to be the anchor, there's only so many anchor seats. But there's tons of roles that are behind the scenes that are as important to supporting that the broadcast or the production of the newspaper or their website.
And Doris, something I wanted to ask you, a unique experience you were able to be a part of is being president of an organization. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, I would really strongly encourage students to look into journalism associations, because I was the president of the Asian American Journalists Association, which has chapters across the US as well as in Asia. And the thing is that these organizations do not require you to be, to say, I'm Asian American. What we would encourage you to think about is, how do you support diversity, and how can you learn from that organization? It's a great place to network. You're going to meet people who are your peers. You're going to meet people who are hiring managers. You're going to meet senior managers like Marty Barron, who's my boss at the Washington Post. You'll meet Craig Robinson, who's the vice president of diversity at NBC. They're great experiences where you can have a student newsroom that's multimedia during the national convention. So you get to meet other students from around the country. And I got my job at the Washington Post through the Journalism Association. As a professional, I was working in that student newsroom, helping other students, but another professional was there watching my work and basically considering it a week-long tryout without telling me. So those are things to think about. And then that's just your support network and your base. There are multiple organizations out there. So if you really want to specialize in like opinion editing or sports writing or whatever, those are many things that you can explore. There's a Society for Professional Journalists, which is very broad-based. There is Unity Journalists, which has a unique opportunity for one student to go to multiple conventions during the course of the summer to really learn from different cultures and really experience the Black journalists, the Hispanic journalists, Native American and Asian American Journalists Association conventions, and really report back and learn from all those different experiences.
And Ron, your experiences?
Well, like Doris, I've always kind of been involved in different organizations. I was president of the Portland Association of Black Journalists when I was in Oregon. But I guess to echo what Doris is saying, I think it's important to remember as students that, yes, you must have good work ethic and professional experience, but the second part of that equation is the power of relationships, and to develop those relationships while you're in school so that you have this network that you can draw upon. Another way you can do that is taking advantage of the KU Alumni Network. Mm-hmm. That's a powerful group that people who want to help you, but they need to know that you're around. Mm-hmm. So you develop these things now, and then when you need them later, you already have this built-in support. So it's not enough to just go to class, work at the Daily Kansan or the TV station. You have to go to class, you have to learn, but you have to network, because it's all about, you know, what you know and who you know. And your attitude determines your altitude. How high you go in this industry is based on how you treat your colleagues, how you treat your professors, how you treat alums.
And networking and getting that first opportunity as a professional, what were your first jobs once you graduated?
So my first job was actually as a contract reporter for the LA Times. However, that happened 5 years before. This whole thing wasn't because I was the best intern out there. It was because there was a secretary in St. Paul who knew the recruiter. Mm. And I had just always been nice to her. And she said, you should consider Ron. And they were from Chicago, this person. I was from Chicago. I met them for dinner, and I got the internship. I had other internships. I don't, mean to imply that I was not qualified, but I'm sure that there were others who were qualified, but I was able to get into the door because of a relationship that I had formed at St. Paul from someone who actually wasn't even a supervisor of mine, from someone I just said good morning to, and she liked me. That's when I talk about how your attitude can affect your altitude, because if you are a jerk, people don't want to help you, right? So remain humble, remain hardworking, hone your skills, but also learn to cultivate those relationships.
Yeah, Ron and I have been friends through various journalism associations for years.
Years.
Yeah, years. That's how we know each other. But we've never worked in the same newsroom. I started at the Dallas Morning News, but I got that job through a student job fair at the University of Missouri. You know, you kind of go around, it's like speed dating, multiple recruiters are there. But I really hit it off with the person who they had sent to the campus that particular year. And he had said, oh, you know, what is your pet peeve about copy editing? And that answer has probably changed a lot in the ensuing years. But whatever the answer was, we high-fived, we really hit it off, and then he went back and told his bosses, I think she would be a great hire. And one of the things that I think really prepared me for going through those job interviews was working with that network that was on campus to really think about how do you answer each question? How do you get prepared for what someone's going to throw at you during a job interview? And sort of on Ron's note about always being professional with somebody, so you never know where somebody else is going to end up in their career. A long time ago, a recruiter from a very small newsroom and I chatted, and years later she said, I knew you were never going to come to my newsroom, but now I'm at some major publication, and would you consider coming to work here? And it was, you know, it was nice because I took advantage of an opportunity to speak to a small newsroom, because every time you go to a job fair, you have an opportunity to impress somebody, but you also have an opportunity to really hone your answers and think about what's important to you.
All right, and getting to the end of our conversation, since you're both editors, for those students looking to get into this as a career, Ron, on the Milwaukee Sentinel-Journal, you published a story, Copy Editors are Champions of Credibility. And in that story, it says, editors must be willing to sweat the details, and in a copy editor's world, there's no margin for error. How do you two approach doing what you do for a living?
Well, I mean, I think that as journalists, we're advocates for the reader. We want to inform them, we want to empower them, we want them to trust us. So as editors, we look at the big picture. Is this story fair? The big picture, but also the small details, which add up. Are the names spelled correctly? Are the dates right? Does the math add up? There's no detail that is too small, because our readers deserve the best that we can give them. And they have many choices now. I mean, people get their news from a variety of sources. And some people have said, oh, newspapers are dead, but we have recognized that when big news happens, they're coming to the website, our websites. And the reason why they are is because we have credibility, that we make mistakes, but when you own up to them, you mess up, you fess up. But the idea is to make sure that readers get the best that they can, the best experience that they deserve.
Right. Yeah, I would just really echo everything that Ron said. And one other thing is that as an editor, you don't want to do any harm. So it's kind of that doctor's oath. So if you go in there and you write a headline that shades something with the wrong nuance, a reporter's going to get ticked off at you. Whoever sees that headline may not understand the actual story because maybe they didn't read the story. Somebody's going to have to write a correction. You know, it's one of those things where you really want to think about, how am I serving the reader? Because you are basically the reader.
All right, well, I want to thank you again for both joining us today. I want to remind you to see Doris and Ron tomorrow from 3 to 5 in the William Allen White School of Journalism and Mass Communications for a Q&A on media, politics, and diversity. Again, thank you for joining us this morning. When we come back, we will get you the latest news update.
Good morning, KU. I'm Gabby.
And I'm Abby, and this is your Monday morning news update. The GOP county headquarters in Hillsborough, North Carolina was firebombed and vandalized late Saturday night. According to a statement from the police, a bottle with flammable substances was thrown through the window and caught fire once inside. On the outside of the building, they found a spray-painted swastika and the words "Nazi Republicans, leave town or else." The building was empty at the time, and no one was injured.
After an 8-month investigation, 3 Kansas men have been charged for allegedly plotting to bomb a building in Garden City where Somali Muslims live and worship. According to acting U.S. Attorney Tom Beale, the men had been stockpiling explosives, firearms, and ammunition, and the attack was set to take place just after the election in November. The 3 men are being charged with 1 count of conspiring to use a weapon of mass destruction.
In the aftermath of the 2005 Access Hollywood tape, where Donald Trump uses graphic language to boast about sexually harassing women, several women have been coming forward accusing Trump of sexual harassment and sexual assault. Trump has denied all claims, and according to CNN, his campaign has been drafting lawsuits against newspapers that publish these stories.
The cost of campus housing is expected to increase for the next school year. Housing costs generally increase about 3% or between $100 to $300 every year. In addition, new dining plans will be offered to students. Some changes will include family passes and access to meals at some of KU's dining retail locations, such as the Underground and the Market.
Saturday evening, the ballroom in the Kansas Union was full of students singing, dancing, and celebrating Indian culture at a Garba event, which is a traditional Indian dance. The event, which was planned by the Association of Indian Students and the South Asian Student Association, allowed Indian students to come together and connect over their culture and spirituality.
Kansas football lost to Baylor this weekend, 49-7. Baylor led by 42 at halftime, though our defense improved in the second half, allowing them to score only 7 points. The Jayhawks are now 1-5 for the season and will face Oklahoma State this weekend at Memorial Stadium. That's it for news. Stay tuned and we'll be back with the weather.
When you shop local in the heart of the city, you support the people that make our community thrive. The money you spend here stays here, in this place we call our home. Lawrence, Kansas, where there's good old-fashioned hometown pride. Eat local, drink local, shop local.
Where you go to college makes a statement about you. This place will become a part of you, your identity for life. The University of Kansas, a great place to be you.
Hi, and welcome back to Good Morning KU. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. Right now you're looking at a live shot right outside of Marvin Hall. Beautiful sunny day as we get on throughout. Yesterday we had some warm temperatures as well, above average, 86, low of 65. Again, our average is typically below 70 degrees around this time. Right now it is about 76 degrees, windy, let me tell you. It is 25 miles per hour currently, and it's only going to pick up as we go throughout the day. And then as we get on to later tonight, again, we'll hit our high of 85, but the winds will dwindle down as we go into our evening hours. Tomorrow, we'll go down a little bit, closer to average, 74 degrees, sunny, winds not as bad as today. And then we'll take a look at our 5-day forecast. Tomorrow, again, not as warm as today, and then we'll go back to our average around high 60s and a low 60 on Thursday. That is all we have for today. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.